Hello guys, Sega20X here, ready to take a great review of my favorite pinball games. At number 8, we have House of the Dead Pinball, which is based off of mostly House of the Dead 2, but some of the elements and stages remind me of the original House of the Dead 1. That's right, this is the game on the Game Boy Advance. Sure, it can be good to play on Halloween, but it's also a cool pinball game. That's right, a Sega game on a Nintendo console. In this video game there are only 3 stages. In this demo here, you see the Mad Scientist stage, which is good, but my favorite stage is the Cemetery Graveyard stage. That's right, you will be fighting bosses and other monsters in this game with a pinball, which kind of may remind you about Devil's Crush or Sega's earlier games, Dragon's Fury, even though it almost reminds me of Dino Clash. But you should definitely check this game out because Pinball of the Dead is definitely one of those unique retro pinball games. Speaking of horror, if you thought that was great, then you should definitely check out this Japanese horror game. That's right, Jackie Crush, which is a Japanese game where you fight the yokai. I know I covered this before, but now here I am again because it deserves to be the number 7 of the spot for being the only NACSAT game on the Super Nintendo. You already know the story. Yes, you'll be fighting yokai with a golden rod ball here, and the yokais look pretty interesting. From the Japanese dragons all the way to the Japanese god Raiden, and the Oni face right in the back of the pinball stage. And at number 6, on the Sega Genesis, we have the incredible Devil's Crush, or should I say Dragon's Fury? Anyway, this game is by Technosoft. That's right, Devil's Crush on the Sega Genesis. I know it was ported to the PC Engine, but the Sega Genesis is probably the best port in my opinion. That's right. Like the last 2 games I just covered a moment ago, you'll be fighting more monsters, except in a medieval castle, from demons to skeletons, and the dragons. So definitely give this game a try, since this is one of the greatest pinball games on the Sega Genesis or Sega Mega Drive if you live in Europe or Japan. Speaking of dragon, there's Dragon's Revenge by Tengen. That's right, the sequel follow-up of the Sega Genesis version of Devil's Crush, or Dragon's Fury. Just like the last game, you will still be fighting the castle, but it's a little bit different. What makes this a little bit more special is there's some more bosses you might be fighting in this game. If you really love Sega Genesis pinballs, then definitely have this game in your Sega Genesis pinball collection, because this is definitely a very great pinball game as well, just like its predecessor. At number 4, even though it's not a Sega pinball game, but it is a Super Nintendo game because Super Nintendo made some good pinball games too, we have Super Pinball Behind the Mask. That's right, Super Pinball. That's right, you have 3 different kinds of stages. From this pirate stage here, like you see in the demo, you will be, you guessed it, since it's a regular retro game pinball game, keeping the ball in hand. In story mode, you have to rank up as many points as you can. So yeah, it definitely depends on the right luck. So definitely give this Super Nintendo game a try if you like Super Nintendo pinball games. Speaking how great Super Nintendo made pinball games, here comes another one. Super Pinball 2, which never left Japan, The Amazing Odysseys, like its predecessor, but with maybe a few minor features. That's right. Like its predecessor, there are 3 stages. Here in this demo, you see a gangster stage, where you're at a casino. That's right. There's not much for me to say because it's just the same, even though it's a good sequel follow-up. So, definitely give this a try if you like Super Nintendo pinball games. Then you definitely don't want to pass this up because Super Pinball 2 is another unique pinball game for the Super Nintendo. Here is one of the greatest pinball games that Sega Genesis has ever made. That's right, this is Psycho Pinball, where it tells a story about Armadillo. I know this game was also ported to the PC, but the Sega Genesis is probably the best version of all. That's right, this game, instead of 3, you have 4 stages. From the circus theme stage all the way to the aquarium stage. This is definitely one of the best pinball games and has some unique music. So it just depends on. So definitely pick this Sega Genesis pinball game up in your Sega Genesis game collection, because you definitely don't want to pass this one up if you're a Sega fan. And at number 1, we have Hello Kitty Party. It counts because it has a mini pinball game. Yes, it counts. I know I covered this before, but here I am going to cover it again, where you finally get to see me do a little pinball action here. That's all I have, so please like, share, and subscribe. Sega 20X signing off.